Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as it is remaining fairly chilly for all, but we will see a split across the country from the coldest areas to maybe areas that are slightly milder. What we're going to see this weekend is high pressure ridging further northwards and westwards, and that is going to allow an east to northeasterly wind arrive. Now, for the south and the east, you'd normally associate those areas, especially through spring and summer, as being the warmest places. That's of course where we saw 40 degrees back in the summer of 2022. However, through this weekend into next week, the south and the east are going to be the coldest places because of that easterly wind. The UKV is showing some areas across the Midlands, East Anglia, towards London, not getting much above 5 or 6 degrees through Sunday and Monday due to the easterly wind dragging in lots of cloud, drizzly rain, making it feel absolutely miserable out there. Further westwards, though, and northwards, we're under more of the centre of the high. Still not exceptionally warm upper air temperatures, still average to below average, but slightly milder conditions at the surface with some more sunshine, maybe 16 or 17 degrees as possible. So we're going to see a huge split this upcoming weekend into next week. For all, it is likely to turn chilly, or at least remain chilly in the south and the east. We are seeing a little bit of a glimmer of hope in the longer range, definitely seeing signs that we could be losing the colder air masses through the final days of April and start of May. We have seen a pretty big uptick in the ensembles today, back towards average, which is a positive sign, but it is looking like it's going to be a westerly flow. So yes, we might lose these colder conditions and a fresher feel, but we could see a return to more widespread precipitation. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well. The link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see there's actually pretty extensive precipitation around at the moment. Again, it's fairly light and patchy, and it is going to break apart through this evening. It is a very weak weather front that is slowly sinking southwards. Again, we're not really going to see too much of a change at the surface instead of the temperatures. It's just really a small milder sector that's moving through that is giving this precipitation, and it will fizzle away pretty quickly through this evening. Now, do you look at the temperatures? It is pretty chilly out there. Temperatures not as cold as they have been recently, as we are seeing a brief uptick in the upper air temperatures associated with this weather front. That means temperatures today more around the low teens quite widely, but we are going to see those temperatures drop away. This is kind of the mildest air mass we're going to see for at least a week to 10 days for most areas. So even though it has still felt pretty chilly out there today, it's not quite been as cold as the prior days or the subsequent days. Now, if you go over to the latest UKV, you can see that precipitation moving southwards at the moment, clearing through this evening, and then opening the floodgates to some showers through tomorrow. Some of them pretty heavy and pretty widespread, especially across parts of England there through the early afternoon, but they should clear away through the evening, and you see a northerly wind it does push in. Now, high pressure is building in for Saturday, and you can see we've got a lot of cloud on northern and eastern coasts as this is riding round the northern edge of the high. It's really as we head into Sunday that easterly wind really gets going. You see this brief drier slot towards East Anglia. That is that very cold air mass, or at least very cold for this time of year, pushing in through Sunday afternoon. And it's actually where that cold air collides with that very thick cloud through Sunday. That's where we're going to see the coldest conditions. So not actually under the coldest air mass, it's just where that cold air starts to mix in with the thicker cloud, 5 or 6 degrees at best. Now, the same could be said for Monday, where we see on the dividing line between the colder and milder air, some precipitation and thicker cloud. Again, it's kind of around this region where it's going to be pretty chilly indeed, and that stays into Tuesday, where the upper air temperatures start to rise again, but still are below average. You can see in the prior days that very cold air mass moving through for Sunday across much of eastern and southern England there. Look at that, -5 to -7 degrees, really quite chilly indeed, before slowly getting pushed away. But you can see all areas are around average or below average, even into early next week. The west is best, but even here you can see cold air masses are trying to move in. Now, do look at the max temperature. You can see as we head into tomorrow, 14-15 degrees possible again with some slightly milder air masses, but with that east and northerly flow starting to push in, getting down to 9 or 10 degrees across much of northern and eastern coasts. As we enter Saturday, quite a widespread frost for northern and western areas. Of course, eastern areas are going to feel colder during the day, but because of the stronger wind and a bit of cloud moving in, it won't allow the temperatures to fall away as much overnight. Into Saturday afternoon, look at that. Republic of Ireland, 15, 16 degrees. Much of England, only 11 to 13. Further eastward you go, 8 or 9. And then as we head into Sunday, it starts to turn really chilly. Look at that. Only 6, 7, maybe 8 degrees at best there through Sunday afternoon, but 16 to 17 degrees across the Republic of Ireland. Big east to west split. And then as we head into Monday, look at those temperatures across parts of England and even pushing into Wales there. Only 4 to 6 degrees. Really chilly indeed. And as I said, it's where that cold air mixes with that thicker cloud and precipitation. To the east of it, we actually have colder air masses. Here it's 8 or 9 degrees because we're seeing a little bit more sunshine, even though the wind will be stronger. So really quite huge regional differences over the coming days. But yeah, for many who watch this video, it is going to be a pretty cold weekend into early next week indeed. And you can see even into Tuesday, slight improvements, but still 8 to maybe 13 degrees at best. So yeah, then slightly milder through Tuesday, but still below average. And this below average sort of trend is likely to continue until probably the last few days of April. And you can see the northerly wind coming in or continuing over the next couple of days, and that easterly arrives through Monday into Tuesday, keeping us pretty cold indeed. And you can see eventually we start to all see colder air masses by Thursday and Friday, and you can see that on the upper air temperatures. Pretty chilly air masses moving in for all. Now this is heading into the final days of April, and look what happens. We start to see a little bit of a change of milder air masses mixing in. Lower pressure involved, so it's going to be a lot of precipitation around, but upper air temperatures are up, so temperatures will be back into the mid to maybe high teens, but we are likely to see heavier rain, unfortunately, and this continues into the longer range with more of the westerly winds opening up. You can see this from looking at the upper air jet stream. You can see this could be straight out of the out of northeast Canada, still slightly southerly tracked, especially for this time of year, but still coming more across us, which is allowing milder air masses to get picked up. Whereas at the moment, you can see it's all waving to our north and diving southwards here, and this amplification of the jet stream is allowing those colder air masses to move in. So this is a subtle change, more of a strong, flat jet stream, allowing low pressure to come on off the Atlantic and keep the conditions milder. Now, if you compare to the GM, again, very similar over the coming days. Eventually, we all see that cold and northeasterly wind into next week. And then eventually, as we head into the final days of April, we still see some blocking, halting the jet stream from getting unblocked. Still amplification here, but we do start to see some slightly milder air masses mixing in. So GM maybe not going quite as cold as the GFS, at least initially, but it takes longer to get out of this rut. With low pressure parked over the top of us, we're likely to see more pretty extensive rain here. And again, if we look at the accumulated precipitation, this is the next 10 days, and for the next few days, it looks pretty dry indeed. Most of this precipitation comes in the final couple of days. It really builds up in the last sort of 48 hours of this run, and that's all due to the fact that we are starting to see some very heavy rain moving in within those low pressure systems. Now, if you finally compare to the ECMWF, again, that northeasterly wind coming in, and it is broadly pretty similar actually to the GM. Still got some blocking towards our north and our west. Low pressure sats more over the top of us, but of course, because it's sat further south as a bit of a cut-off low, it does allow slightly milder air masses to move in. But similar, we're likely to see more heavy rain. Unfortunately, the accumulated precipitation hasn't loaded yet, but you can see regardless, it would be a very unsettled pattern. Now, if we do finish by looking at the ensembles, you can see this positive trend in terms of temperatures in the longer term, well exemplified here on the ensemble charts. The next week, 10 days, cold, at least the next 3 or 4 days, especially for London and the southeast, very cold for the time of year, about 7 or 8 degrees below average. Nothing completely out of the ordinary, not exceptional by any means. We'd be looking more at 10 to 12 degrees below average for that, but significant nonetheless. And you see the upper air temperatures slowly return towards average for the final days of April and early May. But with the rise in upper air temperatures, we also see quite a big rise in precipitation, some big spikes appearing through the end of April and early May. And that's all, as said, because the jet stream is starting to power up a little bit more, low pressure moving in, milder air masses mixing in, so turning slightly warmer, but heavy rain moving in. You see this on the sea level pressure, higher pressure at the moment, but then dropping as we progress into the final part of April. And if we look at the 2 meter temperatures, again, really chilly, struggling to get into the double digits for many areas through the next few days. It is going to be up and down, but overall, maybe 8 to 12 degrees is kind of the ballpark on most days, for eventually trending back towards the mid-teens for early May. And finally, if we finish by having a look at the ECMWF ensembles, it's broadly pretty similar. Below average or well below average over the coming days, hanging around below average for the next week to 10 days, and then slowly into early May, we do return more towards average. But again, with an increasing precipitation signal. So we're going to have to keep a very close eye on this over the coming days, but things starting to evolve for the better, even though, yes, it's still looking unsettled in the longer term. I definitely will be looking forward to some mild rare masses, because it doesn't look like it's going to be walls of precipitation at this stage. So there will be areas of dry conditions, sunshine around, and when we do see those, we could see temperatures getting up towards the 20-degree mark if we start to see above average upper air temperatures. But for the time being, the message is cold, and especially in the southeast corner, very cold easterly winds through this weekend. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.